This story begins on the fall of 2018. Working at the job I despise with all my heart because I know how much better I could do. Trust me, being the fry cook of a rundown McDonald's restaurant is probably the worst job of all time. My name is Barry, and on one Saturday afternoon, a kid walks in the door looking for a job. He had a huge forehead. I mean, you could fit a basketball in this thing. And as you know, they victimize themselves, looking for a quick buck, so he became part of the McDonald's team. But I knew from the start this kid was trouble. Through his first few days of working at the restaurant, he was already running the business into the ground. I mean, one customer, he was complaining about some funky odor airing through the fast food restaurant, like burning clay. And another customer began to complain about finding these weird notes inside their sandwiches. So, as you know, I had enough of this business, so I slowly approached this kid for the first time, since I never saw him because I worked in the back. So I peered over the corner, and surprisingly, he was already staring at me from a 20-foot distance. Not from the side, nor the back, but head on. His entire body was staring at me directly. So, I ignored this suspicious behavior, and I kept walking towards him. Louis Duran. That was the name engraved on his name tag. I then led him towards a seat in the restaurant, and after I placed my wallet and phone on the table, I began my attempt at uncovering his reasons for his off-put behavior working at this restaurant. I began to ask Louis questions about his recent behaviors, and he immediately changed the conversation and said, "I'm a big YouTuber, over 30,000 subscribers. I'll give you the name of the channel if you want." My mind was torn apart because this conversation felt indirectly aggressive. His YouTube channel had no importance in this conversation, but I erased this thought in my head and let him air himself out. He then kept talking about what he does on this channel, about Godzilla and dinosaurs. He had an obsession with the movie Saw and said how he uses it a lot in his series. He then pulled up on his phone an image of a Play-Doh version of Godzilla. He kept calling it Rise Goji. He then stressed and made it clear that he was going to sell these for a cheaper price than his other Godzilla collectibles. I did not know what this kid was talking about at this point, so I was more interested in the ads playing on the TV in the back of the restaurant. And then an ad came up for Horizon Organics' new milk product, known as Purple Milk. The events that followed made me want to keep more distance in between me and Louis Duran. When the ad played, Louis immediately got up and stopped what he was saying and held his forehead in agonizing pain. He then fell on the ground and began whimpering more disturbingly than those women that die screaming bloody murder in horror movies. After that awful encounter, I had gone home, and when a misty, foggy night hit outside, I surfed the web looking for Louis's channel. And I began playing some of these videos he seemed too passionate about. But his passion was at some level that it seemed like I would die if I didn't watch his videos. And what I came to realize that night is how much kids love this guy. He had a pretty wide range of young children that looked up to him, and just in a manner of support, I pressed the like button on the video and subscribed. What else could I do to try to help this guy? But then I was caught in surprise after seeing on the comments section a YouTuber named NDK Films commented something against Louis Duran. Not in a mean-spirited way, but he criticized his work. And what followed was this long list of comments from those same fans calling him very derogatory terms, very aggressive, poisonous things to this YouTuber. And in confusement, I just saw how Louis had actually placed a heart symbol on all these nasty comments. Did he support this behavior? I said. But I just glossed over that. And after seeing that, I just unsubscribed and unliked the video because I had no respect for this guy. Not to say I even had respect for him in the first place, but I then got up from my chair and realized I didn't have my wallet. I was lost over it, but then I realized I had left it in the restaurant when I sat down with Lewis. And trust me, I get really picky over these things, so I took my raincoat and headed for my home's entrance. As I headed towards my door, I looked through the dark window leading to the forest outside my house and saw behind it a shadow shining off the light from the street. It formed some peculiar dinosaur shape. It had these shark spines on its back, and then it flashed. Disappeared. I can't be going insane already, I said to myself, thinking this wallet fiasco really got to my head. So I walked outside and drove off through the wet, damp street back to McDonald's. When I got there, Lewis was sitting out on the parking lot outside, but he didn't notice me, and he was watching some other person get in his car. The other person who got in the car was a shorter fellow, had glasses, and left in a rushed manner. So I got out of my car, and when I slowly moved towards Lewis, I noticed he was injured. A jug full of Horizon organic purple milk was splashed all over him, and the rest just rolled off into the parking lot pavement. When I approached Lewis, he was crying, and then when I got closer, I realized that he wasn't crying, but laughing. This didn't make sense, since it was clear that this purple milk stuff was something that hurt him. His demented laugh slowly sounded like it was echoing away into a hallway, diminishing, disintegrating. He had died. Just sprawled out all over the McDonald's parking lot. My body began building heat like when you're in pure guilt or embarrassment, but this heat was scorching, almost as if the worst is about to happen. I looked to my side, and a child's silhouette approached the lifeless corpse of Louis Duran with a 480p camcorder, and I realized this individual was NDK Films, the one who gave him criticism. He didn't acknowledge me. He just began filming the corpse of Louis, speaking into the camera as if he had some audience. And in an instant, I began speed walking away to my car, but as I did, I couldn't resist seeing this crime scene. Once I got back into my car, right when I shut the door, I felt silence. Not even the sound of air nor wind was heard, but a sound did start creeping up. The sound of music. Scary music. As I heard this music slowly rise, I looked forward, seeing in the distance NDK Films getting some disturbing shots of Lewis's body that began to twitch violently. And when the music in the car was audible enough for me, it sounded like it was from a horror movie. An exact theme song. Saw. It was the theme of Saw. Quickly, I saw this small figure, like a mouse, tossle itself onto NDK Films like a rat. And NDK fell onto the ground trying to get this creature off him, and then something grabbed NDK. It wasn't a small creature. Something big grabbed him. I only saw these figures in black silhouettes, so I watched as this thing levitated NDK off the ground and ripped his small child body into pieces. One arm sprang across the pavement, while the legs splattered all over the windows of the restaurant. The upper torso of NDK was screaming in agonizing pain for a few seconds, as the scream became engulfed in gagging blood noises slowly diminishing. I was paralyzed seeing these two grotesque creatures out of some uncanny hell story go into the woods. Lurking through the dark, foggy night, it prowled a bit more until the veins pumped with purple poison gave away, thus letting the foul creature tumble and fall dead next to his sidekick, Rise Goji. But the story didn't end there. As the frame crept into the remnants of the clay beast, its eyes gave one more prowling look and said, "Will rise."